Hey everybody, this is Giancarlo Alino reporting for Sportskeeda MMA, and I'm happy to be joined by my guest today. He's a MMA pioneer. He's a Canadian legend in MMA. He is Gary Big Daddy Goodridge. How you doing, Gary?
Gary's good. Gary's good. Thank you.
And Gary, this is an exciting time. You got an exciting new MMA venture out in Africa, African Fighting Championship. You got that excellent belt that's on your shoulder there. Can you talk to us a little bit of how this all came together?
This was on the internet one time, probably about 3 years ago. I was on the internet just talking, just saying hi to friends and on Twitter, and I ended up speaking with this lady, Josephine, and from there, just one thing led to another, and here we are with AFC.
That's awesome. And like
Great.
AFC and Africa, like African MMA, we've heard like all these rumblings, all these rumors of like big promotions like the UFC going there, but nothing's ever materialized. What motivated you to want to go to Africa and give back to the sport over there?
I believe that Africa is an untapped market for this. You got to go to where nobody knows, and not really knows, but nobody has something going on over there. There's a lot of other groups that are there, but I'm planning to try to take over. I want to see what the blueprints already been made for success. I just got to follow the steps.
And upcoming event there, April 30th, AFC
Yeah.
2. It's a second event, and they have a unique concept here, nation versus nation. So how did that component all come about for this?
Kenya versus Uganda. What happened was again, talking just sitting down with the board of there's four of us on the board, and we sit down and we discuss what's the best for AFC, and we decide amongst each other. Yeah, that sounds good. So all of our fights are going to be each country facing each other. Obviously, we our base is in Kenya, so it'll be Kenya going around beating people, or if it's far away, then I'll put them two together or whatever. I'll keep going.
That's great. I like the concept too. Kenya, Uganda. So, in terms of Uganda, then, like you said, you're based in Kenya. So, was there just like the talent pool and Uganda that you saw would match up well there with Kenya?
No, not at all. In research, and we found other clubs that were close, and we called them and say, listen, we got to be interested in sending over some fighters, and of course they are, because everybody's making money. We're all making money. It's all good.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great concept, and just that title there looks amazing. Like, how did the design process? What was that like?
Yeah, geez, I even forgot how we made it. Oh, Cindy, made I had a girl, Cindy, my girlfriend. She made it. She designed it and made it, and I just had to send to Pakistan to get it made. I'm not entirely happy with it, to be honest, but I'll have to I'll need to get somebody else to make it for me.
No, I
So
think
I
it
hope
was. Yeah,
we can make it for me. I think I spent $520 to get it done, 580 or something like that.
yeah, it
But
looks
yeah,
good. It looks
love
good.
the stuff.
Like it.
Good.
And you were telling me before we recorded there, like just finding the champion, the qualities you're looking for in a champion in this promotion in Africa. What are some of the qualities you're looking for in that champion?
Well, I'm looking for, obviously, somebody can fight. Somebody that can fight and carry on. I mean, I can't pick the fighters, hand pick them, because a fight's a fight. Anything can happen. But I know what I'm looking for. So hopefully we'll get it and keep going. I'm looking for somebody that can talk, somebody good looking that can talk, that can fight. All the attributes that people like. Women would want to see it because he's got a nice body or whatever, and speaks well. Guys for the same thing. It's just and he can fight. So I'm looking for everything all in one.
So it sounds like you're looking for a younger Gary Goodridge, right?
Okay. Yes, if there is any. Yes, I'm looking for that.
That's good. And is this your first time back to Africa? Were you there for the first one too?
I was there for the first one. Well, I was there before the first one to sign up deals and make things legal. And then I went back to the second one. I was there for about 2 months. Um, Second time I went and just met with sponsors and investors, and signed up some papers and shake some hands. And then to this time I'm going back. It's kind of late, but I just got this belt today. I was waiting for it. Had I known it was this late, I would have had them send it to Africa. So I had to wait for it. It just came today, so I'll leave it tomorrow.
Perfect timing here for this interview. We got the exclusive. We're the first ones to see this. I appreciate that.
No
And
problem.
and even in Africa too, like I know in Canada when MMA like came here, there was a lot of hurdles that they had to go through just to get it legalized. Were you noticing the same kind of pushback in Africa, or now with some of the UFC champions coming out of there, they're a little bit more open to it?
No, the exact same. It's too violent. This we don't do that. It's too violent that you don't want to stop it. The exact same thing that the USC went through here in North America. But now most of the world's doing it. So, but Africa. So I'm just trying to basically. Of course, they see it on TV, but they don't like doing that because it's too vicious. It's a dog fighting. Is it? But I gotta teach the public what it's all about, and move from there.
What's that education process like? Because like I know at the time, like I remember when I was younger and I would see like some of the newscasts how they would look at MMA, and it changed a lot once it became popular on ESPN and mainstream appeal. So is that same process there in Africa where you have to show them like these athletes are well trained and just what they go through in the preparations?
You have to teach them everything. It's people don't know. Yeah, if you don't know, you don't know. You have to let them understand. I mean, there's a big popularity. There's a big population of people knowing about it, and but there's a big population that don't. So I'm trying to educate at the same time. So it's rough, and it's rough, but it's like I said, the template, the blueprint is made. So I just gotta walk the steps.
And what do you hope to accomplish with MMA in Africa after, like, hopefully more events after AFC two? What's your goal there in Africa?
My goal there is really is to find jobs. People need jobs. To find jobs for the young adults, um, good paying jobs for young adults. So and giving them, well, you're giving entertainment, but really what I would like is for me to help the people in Africa, for me to help people help themselves. Um, Yeah, a good paying jobs. Good. You don't have to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher. Sorry, not a doctor or a lawyer. All you have to do is to earn good money. You don't have to be those things. You can be a fighter, you can be an athlete, and just hand it. Let's open up some doors.
I agree with you. That's a great goal to have, and I think you'll accomplish that with African MMA. And just want to shift gears a little bit because the UFC this year is celebrating their 30th anniversary, and throughout the year they've been showing past greats and shining a light on the rich history they have. You were a big part of that early on. How did you first hear about the UFC?
A couple of friends of mine was watching on TV after work. They contacted us, and of course, being the biggest, strongest guy in the crowd, or having that name, never beat up anyone before in my life, never fought anyone, but I was given the big tough guy because I was usually bigger than everybody else. So they saw it on TV, got me involved by watching on TV, and then wanted me to do it. Hey man, you can do that? No, I don't. I don't want anything to do with that. It just looked too ridiculous. I was watching Harold Howard and what's the name? Joe San punch this guy in the testicles over and over and over again. I don't know if you remember that. I think it was a USC 3 or
Yeah.
USC. Joe San just, did you see that one? And he just went off. Just hit the guy about eight unanswered blows in the testicles. And then they wanted me to do that. I said, no, man, I don't want to do that. And by the next day, I was writing to the owner, Art Davies, about getting into it. So and then a month later, I got the call that I'm going to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I was in. That's it.
Wow. That's, yeah, much different than it is now. Before, they just, you can call in, and if you had that excellent background that you had now, it's, that shows just the growth of the promotion. And I want to ask you, one of your most famous knockouts, still to this day, probably the most vicious knockout in UFC history over Paul Herrera. Uh,
Yeah.
I read something about it, that there was a story to that, with your friends, like to try to get you to train harder. Can you just elaborate on what happened there?
Yeah, no, I was told he was racist. They told me he was racist, man. He's racist. He's a racist dude with Tank Abbott and so forth. They're from a racist team, so they just got it in my head for me to train harder, which I did. I trained harder, and I don't care who I lose to. I'm not losing to that racist dude, you know. So of course I trained harder. I mapped out something exactly what I wanted to do to him, and that's exactly what happened. Boom, boom, boom. 8 seconds, it was all done.
Wow. Yeah, poor guy. They
Yeah,
told you he was like, did you find out afterwards like he wasn't? And
yeah.
yeah,
Right after it wasn't, but you know, about 3 months later, I found that he wasn't, and he feel bad because he got ringed out pretty good.
and like, just even on that, like the UFC at the time, like what was it like competing in the tournaments? Because there would be times that guys would fight 3 times in one night. So just what was a physical and mental toll that it took on you at the time?
Well, the thing is, you can never train. You can never train for the fight because usually when you have somebody in front of you, you can train for that one person. But in MMA, the way how it was when it first started, you had to train for everybody. So you really only trained for your first match, and then you threw it up in the air for your second and third. Um, so I only trained for that guy to beat him good, and then I didn't know, and then it was up in the air what happened. You know, so it was hard. It was hard, but that's the only thing we knew. So whether it was hard or easy, well, that's all we knew. So now it's different. Now in my tournament in Japan, in Africa, I want to say tournament. Let's have a tournament. No, we don't want tournament. When you know better, you do better. You know, these people don't want tournaments, um, because they're gonna get beat up and not get nothing. But hang on a minute, no, you're gonna get something. But you can't put on tournaments now because you're not really gonna give people enough for tournaments. And there's only really one champion in the tournaments. So basically, be having to give all the winners belts really at the beginning, but you just got to go by eye what you see and how you want to see it, and who contacts your eye and wins at very night. It's different, very different.
Yeah, and like even the UFC in the early days, was there a lot of camaraderie with some of the guys? Like I saw like pictures online. There's yourself, like Bass Ruud and Ken Shamrock, Don Fry, and Mark Coleman. Like, was everybody like pretty close? It was just that competitive nature, or is it? Do you stick to your team, and that was it at the time?
Back then, you stuck to your team because people are trying to find out what you're doing. Are they going to punch them or kick them? They were finding out because back then it was only one style,
Yeah.
and it wasn't MMA. It was NHB, no holds barred. So in the no holds barred, you really didn't know who was doing what. You just had to think about it and train for everything. So NHB is harder, much harder, and in the beginning, when it was tough. It was tough. You didn't know who you had to fight, when you had to fight, how you had to fight, or you had to make sure the fight was kind of quick because you got another one coming. And his fight went long, or if his fight went short and yours went long, you got an uphill battle. So you had to try to make all the fights quick and be over quick so that you can have a lot for the end.
And one of your fights too, like you fought during your career who's who of legends in MMA, Hall of Famers and champions. One of them was Fedor Emelianenko. who recently retired in Bellator earlier this year. What was he like as a fighter in his prime? Because you fought him at a time when he was considered the best heavyweight in the world.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I really, I really wish I had a chance to fight him. I didn't have a chance. What happened with him? What he was like to fight, man. What happened? I learned from him is that how he laid back and stayed calm after the bell got going. He laid back, stayed calm, really calm, and then he rushed it 100%. Back at zero, then bam, all of a sudden he's 100%. He was all over you. So I wasn't ready for that from him at all. So I got clipped right away. So went down right away. It was an awful fight for me because I didn't really get a chance to show my title. But had I fight him again, it'd be a lot different. But that's next time is next lifetime.
Like just Fedor too. Like, did you notice anything from his career? Because I know he didn't go in the UFC, but do you believe that he did enough during that time to be in that consideration for greatest of all time?
Well, at that point in time, and he was the best back then simply because he did everything really well. Like Mark Coleman, great wrestler. You can't really hit that well. Mark, that's how we were. Either you were this, you were that. I was a striker. I wasn't good on the ground. I couldn't take you down. So, and he did everything well. And he hit hard he hit like a truck. So yeah, it was tough, man. It was tough. We had to suck it up and do something.
I mentioned Mark Coleman there. Are you still close to Mark Coleman nowadays?
We're very close. I talked to him last night. As a matter of fact, he's supposed to be coming to this show with me, but he backed out of it. He's supposed to go to the next show with me. So I have him coming down. It's just to say hi. Just another somebody in the crowd. Maybe I'll have him ref or something.
That's great. All the MMA legends. Good that everyone's having a good time now and getting involved, staying involved in the sport. Like even though you're not fighting anymore, there's still ways for you guys to still be involved. So that's great to see. And uh, just a couple final questions here outside of fighting. Of course, our connection there, Aaron Wise, AWE's Comics, you're a part of, and you have a comic book where you're the main character of anti-bullying. So, is this another initiative like that's important to you? And like, if you can speak on the importance of anti-bullying and working with kids.
Anti-bullying is important for me simply because being up here in Barrie, Ontario, there was a lot of bullying when I was as a kid, and I just didn't like it. I tried to be a bully's bully, but it never worked out. Um, it was rough. It was hard. And yes, anti-bullying is a big thing. It's a hard way for kids it's a hard time, a hard thing for kids to go through. And it's unfair. It just makes it so demeaning and debasing and just terrible. It's terrible. I don't, so yes, I stand up for it simply because I was bullied. I think everybody at one point was bullied. Absolutely everyone. Even the ones with their nose stuck up at the time, they've been bullied.
And just like the comic, like, what's it like being a superhero? Because like kids see you, you're this fighter, but you're also a superhero too.
Yeah, that was cool. I like being a superhero. It's great there. Aaron Wise hooked me up, man, and he's got me beating up everybody. So that's good.
And just the final question here before we wrap up and let you go. What advice would you give maybe to your younger self as a fighter or younger fighters now even competing at the AFC card that you think would help them now if they want to make the most out of this MMA career?
Um, what I would tell them and what I would tell myself is, Gary, you can learn from absolutely anyone. Take the time, have the patience, and relax and learn. You're not better than nobody, and nobody's better than you, but you're all on the same playing level, but they all have different attributes that you can have and that you can use. So in a toolbox, You don't just use pliers, you use wrench, screwdrivers, sandpaper, hammers. There's all sorts of things in your toolbox. So the more tools you have, the better it is for you to win, for you to have victory. So anyone can teach you any tool, anything. Take your time and learn it, because the thing is, when you blow up and you think you're bigger than you are, your head blows up. You think you know it all. I can't learn from him, but you can absolutely learn from anyone. I learned from an 80-year-old man at the time. He's dead today, but I back then I was learning from him. He was just a fountain of knowledge. Some of it was garbage, but I quickly understood it was garbage. I learned it anyways. I learned the garbage, but of course you toss it out. But for myself, I tell myself, Gary, relax. You can learn from anyone. Spend the time. Sometimes the people that looks or sound like they know nothing can actually teach you something very important.
Really great advice. Appreciate you sharing that. And Gary, I really appreciate you sharing your time and coming on here at Sportskeeda MMA to talk about this AFC 2 Clash of the Titans, Kenya versus Uganda, showing us that championship belt and talking about your career. I really appreciate it.
Anytime you need me again, give me a call. You have my phone number. You got my what is this? This is not Twitter. It's Zoom. Got my Zoom number. Give me a call anytime. Be happy to come on and wrestle you on it.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.